all the way from little bitty guys to giants. There's giants too. And the one that I always seen, they call him Wanari Hanska. It's tall ghost, and he's a protector of children. So they still live on the earth, but they're spirits, so you don't really see them. But I seen him several times, and sometimes he's around. But one time I was in Nashville, Tennessee. I was going out to look at a Choctaw site under the full moon in here. We looked over and the trees are shorter. They're not this tall because they're mostly oak trees. And here this giant was just walking by like this. And the top of the trees was below his hand. So I told my friend, I said, could you see that giant walking over there? And he said, yeah. And here one of those helicopters that don't make a noise came up from nowhere and spotlighted us and chased that giant. And we could see it. It was going downtown. So these guardian spirits still guard this land because there was a reason they were put here. And even though they're not physically here, they're spirits here. So they guard the weak and the helpless.
Are you saying the helicopter saw the giant?
Seen it? Yeah.
How?
I don't know, just probably with his eyeballs too. They seen it. He showed himself to them. So they chased him. But we never heard anything if that helicopter crashed or whatever, but for some reason they're in cities, you know. I see strange things all over this country wherever I go. But it's because I'm different, you know. I make myself aware of things.
You're open to it.
Well,
a lot of people aren't open to it. They don't believe it, so they stay close to it.
Well, I think that people try to, I guess, make the natural world to where they can understand it. And the world is really old. But the other thing that's really amazing is I believe that T-Rex that they have in Chicago, that spirit walks around. Because when we found it, it was in that Geological Institute in Hill City. And they didn't know if she was a female then or not. And I freaked out when I went in there because we have stories of dinosaurs chasing us and eating whole villages of us. And so I believe that because we have a word for every kind of dinosaur that exists. Like the Niobrara River, that's named after the Triceratops. And the original word is Neopacha-Yamni, but the R was French. So it's Niobrara, but it's Neopacha, because the R is a cha sound in French orthography. And then we even have petroglyphs that show the dinosaur tracks. And then there's a lot of petroglyphs that were spalled in the 40s, whole sections taken out, that are sitting in a museum. But when we found that T-Rex that day out, it freaked me out. And then I seen the Triceratops head, it was huge. And its horns were like this big. And we have stories of them. So recently a friend was telling me that they found in Colorado Springs, the T-Rex footprints were at the same level as human footprints at 900,000 years. And at the last part of the Jurassic into the Cretaceous time period. And so now they're looking at rewriting their findings because we have stories, and people in Africa have stories, people in South America. So for some reason they were in these countries, but not so much like in Europe. And it was probably because of, ice sheets of ice covered that continent at the time when they were still alive. So we have really old stories. But I came back from there and I remember just really wiping myself off thinking, oh my God, I have dinosaur dust on me, ooh, yuck. And here I had a dream that there were maybe about 20 of us kids playing in the Black Hills, and it didn't look like how it does now in here. We heard booming, so we looked out into the prairie, and here it was ocean, inland sea. And here there was like 10 T-Rexes coming towards us. So we were scrambling up these cliffs, and we were trying to find like these, they look like they were formations, like somebody dumped mud. So we were trying to get on the other side of those, because what the dinosaur does is his vertebrae is this big, is he whips with it. That's how he kills. And his hands are right here, so he can't do nothing with these. So he kills with his tail and then breaks bones with his jaws. So that was my dream. And I remember just scrambling up and finally hiding, and these dinosaurs were breaking rocks. And here one was coming, so I threw myself out in here. I threw myself out of bed. So I hit the floor and I got up, and here I could hear booming. And it was loud. It was shaking the house, like the windows. Going boom, and then a rattle. So I ran to my window and I looked out, and here across the way my uncle was watching television. You could see the television on, the glow. Here that dinosaur spirit was standing there peeking in, watching TV. So I went and I sharpened my knives. What else did I have? So where's all those arrows? So we had 3 gifts that came to us in the time of the dinosaur. One is the drum, because it calls the thunders, and the gourd, because when you shake this gourd, this dinosaur has a little brain, so it rattles his brain and he goes crazy. And then the eagle bone whistle, because it breaks the sound barrier, so it can crack that dinosaur's thinking in half, and he'll commit suicide, basically. So those 3 gifts came to us, and all the tribes have them. The gourd, the eagle bone whistle, and the drum. Yeah, so then in our story of the annihilation, there was actually 2 in the cleansing, as all the insects in the world got together and they decided to clean the world. So they created these big winds, and then the wind is what actually moves the bottom layer of sand at the bottom of the ocean. That's how you get the warm temperatures up north. So they created this huge tidal wave that went around the earth like this and cleaned everything. And our story is the great race and the flood. And after that, meteorites bombarded the earth, volcanoes erupted, and it just started with one little butterfly and one dragonfly. And we have a word for that. So the butterfly is Gimimila. It's the cocoon. Gimimi, it makes a wrapping around it. And the Tuswecha is the dragonfly. The Wayancha is the lightning bug. And then the Techmuga is the one that makes a vibration. So these 4 were the ones that did that. So they communicated, and so you better be nice to butterflies, dragonflies, and houseflies, I guess. Yeah, that's why they tell us you shouldn't kill things unless you're gonna eat them.